There's a lot of talk about Airbnb bust, recession, and then there's a counter argument that Airbnb's quarterly earnings are actually up. So, which is it? In today's video, I want to give you my personal unbiased perspective based on what we've observed in our Airbnb listing in Florida so that you can decide whether you want to get into Airbnb or if you're already hosting, this can serve as another data point from a fellow host. Let's dive in with the 4 trends I've noticed for 2023, and then we'll end with a few numbers comparing this year to last year in terms of revenue. I feel I'm in a pretty solid position to give a transparent take because I don't really have like a coaching business. Heck, this channel isn't even purely based on Airbnb stuff. First one is the shift in the booking lead time. In my Airbnb analytics, it shows an average booking lead time of about a month, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. It only takes a few very advanced bookings to completely skew the average. For us, there's been a change in the very last minute bookings. So last year, the last minute bookings would be people booking Tuesday or Wednesday for the upcoming weekend. This year, people are booking within 24 hours of check-in time. With this change, A, it's just a little bit more anxiety than I would like. It's comforting to know how much the calendar has filled up and how much money you can be expecting. And B, some of the operational things have to take on a little bit more flexibility, like coordinating when we want to do a deep clean or when are the HVAC maintenance people coming over. All of those things are kind of scheduled in advance and often have to change very last minute, which is fine, but sometimes there is a little bit of a time crunch of we gotta schedule all these things before the guest checks in within the next hour. The second thing that I'm noticing is that the algorithm is harder when there are a lot of new listings that come up. New listings on Airbnb always get a boost from the algorithm and get shown on the first page more often, which means other listings kind of get bumped around. If you're the new listing, good for you. But for me, the search result placement can have a huge impact on how many views I'm getting on my page and whether I'll get booked in the end. I did a whole separate video on understanding the Airbnb algorithm, and I'll make sure to link it below. I'm kind of following my own advice a little bit, so I'm doing these little updates every few days, trying to browse my own listing on a different computer. I don't know how effective all these things are, but it couldn't hurt. And of course, I follow up on getting good guest reviews, and I go through my pricing strategy to make sure that my property stays competitive with everyone else in the area. But yeah, new listings coming on the market in the area will always be a thing, and so it's just part of the process to continue improving and staying on the algorithm's good side. The third trend I want to mention is regulations. So I'm sure you guys have all seen the latest announcement that Dallas is banning short-term rentals. New York has done the same for a while back now, and many other bigger cities have some level of regulation or restriction or outright banning short-term rentals. In general, I feel like cities and mainly like residential suburbs are higher risk, and I like to mitigate risk by A, choosing to be in like a vacation area where short-term rentals have existed even before the Airbnb platform. These are places where people go on vacation anyway, and the local economy kind of relies on the tourist traffic and people coming in for vacation purposes. And then B, owner-occupied usually is a little bit lower risk if you're open to renting out a room or a chunk of your house. And then C, my recommendation is to never ever pick a place with 0 regulations because it's only a matter of time. The fourth trend or update I wanted to mention is Vrbo and its kind of loyalty program. Recently, it was announced that Vrbo, Expedia, and Hotels.com have partnered together for a loyalty program called One Key. With this program, you can earn status and rewards by staying at hotels through Hotels.com, Expedia, or staying at vacation rentals at Vrbo, or for car rentals. And I can see how this could be really appealing to someone who does do a little bit of spend in all of those categories. Now, I don't know how much or whether this will shift Airbnb users over to Vrbo. Of course, there are other considerations too, but this is your reminder that if you're exclusively hosting on Airbnb, to make sure you're learning the Vrbo platform and also cross-posting there. There's really no downside to listing on both. You just need to take a little bit of time to understand the differences in how their insurance works, how the cancellation policies might be different, the guest fees and therefore your markup, and slight differences in the algorithm. Lastly, let's talk about some numbers, because who even cares about the changes and trends if it doesn't really affect the bottom line at the end of the day? Let me grab my laptop. For May 2022, we made $20,005 versus 2023, we made $8,144. To refresh your memory, May was an anomaly last month with a month-long booking right out the gate. And I think it'll never be replicated. Besides, we were also boosted because we were the new listing in May last year. June 2022, we made $6,475 versus June 2023, we made $14,774. Did it feel like I was winning in June? No, I have this weakness where I remember only the good stuff from the previous year and I amplify the bad stuff in current day. So as I was going through June, it did not feel like we were double of last year, but that's just because I forgot what happened last year. July 2022, we made $8,353. Versus 2023, it was $9,139. So in aggregate for the 3 months, May, June, and July, the total was $34,833 last year versus $32,057 this year, which is almost $2,800 of a difference or an 8% decrease. And that doesn't even factor inflation. Based on these numbers, it seems that our experience lies somewhere between the Airbnb bust and everything's crashing and dropping by at least 50% versus the other rhetoric that's like, no, everything's fine, keep doing Airbnb, keep signing up for stuff. I think as some other channels have pointed out, now is really not the time to be complacent, but to keep learning and keep improving your listing to stay competitive in the space. And while of course there are hosts that are doing exceptionally well, I feel like I might be more in the middle in the average, and I would hate for you to be one of those folks at the other end of the bell curve, spending a lot of time perhaps losing money and regretting this decision. This really is only 3 months of data, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of variability from month to month, so we'll have to see how the rest of the year trends out, and let me know if you're interested in a quarterly update format just like this one. If you have any specific questions on short-term rentals, feel free to comment below, or if you send me a message on Instagram, then I can compile that to a list to answer a bunch of questions in a future video. Alternatively, you can also use my referral link for Airbnb below. It really does help out the channel, and we would get connected through the app that way. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye!